Have you ever stood in the middle of a heated moment, heart slamming against your ribs, fists clenching behind your back, every nerve in your body screaming to lash out? Have you ever watched yourself from the outside, saying things you didn't even mean just to make the pain inside you heard? And when the dust settled, when the noise faded, all you were left with was that sick, hollow feeling, that brutal taste of regret coating your mouth like ash. You didn't just lose your temper. You lost a piece of yourself. You gave away power you spent years building over what? A moment, a jab, a cheap shot from someone who never even deserved to hear your voice. You handed them your dignity, your peace, your energy just so you could feel a little bit heard. But at what cost? The truth is, we've all been there, standing in rooms we should have never entered, wasting our breath defending ourselves to people who were never really listening. People who twisted our words, took everything out of context and walked away completely unscathed, while we were left holding the mess we made with reckless words. In those moments, we think we're proving something. We think we're setting the record straight. But in reality, we're only giving away pieces of our power, pieces of our soul to those who didn't even deserve them in the first place. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who rose from the depths of slavery to become one of the sharpest minds of his time, once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." These words aren't just some ancient wisdom meant to sound good. They're a survival strategy, because growth, real growth, doesn't happen when you're firing off words like bullets. It happens in the silence. It happens when you choose not to engage. It happens when you choose not to speak just to fill the empty air, but to master the power of holding your tongue. Silence is not weakness. It's strength in its purest form. It's the shield of someone who knows their worth and doesn't need to prove it. It's the power of standing in your own truth without needing the validation of anyone else. You must understand this. Speaking is easy. Anyone can open their mouth and say something impulsive, throw out their anger like confetti. But holding back, keeping your composure when every inch of your body is screaming to react, to attack, that's the art of warriors. That's the skill of those who have mastered themselves, who have conquered their emotions, not by suppressing them but by understanding them, controlling them, and using that control to guide their actions. Silence becomes your sword, and the beauty is you don't even have to draw it. Your energy, your peace speaks louder than any words ever could. And right now, I know how you feel. I know you're tired of being misunderstood, tired of wasting your breath on people who only hear what they want to hear, tired of giving away your peace to defend yourself in rooms you should have never stepped foot in, tired of feeling hollow after every argument, every exchange that leaves scars instead of strength. But that tiredness, that's not weakness. It's your spirit calling you to something higher, to a version of you that no longer wastes energy on people or battles that don't matter, to a version of you who walks through life with silent confidence, knowing that the only validation that matters is the one you give yourself. Today, we are stepping into that higher version of you. We're going to learn what it means to grow in silence, to hold your power close, to let silence become your storm. The kind no one can predict, the kind no one can control. Together, we'll uncover why controlling what you say isn't just a skill, it's a transformation. A transformation that doesn't just change how others see you, but how you see yourself. If you're ready to stop giving away your power with reckless words, if you're ready to build a life where silence speaks louder than any argument, then stay with me. Don't just watch, immerse yourself. Like this video, drop a comment, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe. Don't skip a single part of this journey. Every second matters. And I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose power over noise. Now let's go. Number 1, learn the weight of your words. Words aren't harmless. They're weapons more destructive than fists, more enduring than any physical blow. A single sentence can burrow into someone's mind, taking root in places you never intended, leaving scars that never fully heal. A careless insult doesn't fade with time. It lingers, echoing louder than a scream. And when you speak from anger, from ego, from the need to be seen or heard, you don't just share a thought, you expose your soul. You hand your emotions to the world completely defenseless. That's why true growth begins in silence, not because you fear speaking, but because you finally understand the cost of your words. How many times have you tried to explain yourself, only to walk away feeling emptier than before. You gave your all, laid your heart out, and what did you get in return? More misunderstanding, more frustration. That's not weakness. It's wisdom knocking at your door. Because when you speak in the heat of the moment from a place of rage or insecurity, people rarely hear your truth. They only hear your anger, your pain. No matter how loudly you shout, how eloquently you plead, your words will fall on deaf ears. In those moments, your energy, your actions, and your presence will always speak louder than your words ever will. Marcus Aurelius, a man who carried the burden of an empire, understood this deeply. He said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Let that sink in. When you lash out, when you give them the reaction they're craving, you mirror the very chaos you're trying to escape. But when you choose silence, when you've already said everything to yourself in your own mind, you rise. You don't just survive, you transcend. And in that moment of quiet, you've already won. Silence isn't about bottling up your feelings or suppressing them. It's about recognizing that some things are too precious to be thrown into the world unfiltered. It's about processing your emotions in solitude, understanding them before you release them. Every word you speak is a thread in the fabric of your character. Speak recklessly, and you unravel everything you've worked for. Speak with purpose, and you weave yourself into something unbreakable. Stop being the person who reacts to every jab, every insult, every challenge. Stop chasing every fight. Be the one they can't figure out. Be the one who stands apart, not because you don't care, but because you understand that your peace is too valuable to be dragged into their chaos. Your silence will speak louder than their noise, and in that silence, they'll feel the weight of your presence. When your silence speaks louder than their chaos, that's when you've truly mastered yourself. That's when you've won. Number 2, not every battle deserves your voice. Not every battle is yours to fight. Not every insult, no matter how sharp, deserves your time or breath. The most powerful move you can make sometimes is to walk away without a word. You've spent enough years arguing with people who weren't interested in understanding you in the first place, the truth. You've wasted energy on battles that meant nothing, giving parts of yourself to those who would never appreciate it. Here's the harsh reality. When you argue with fools, you become part of their circus. They're the clowns throwing insults, and you're the one on stage playing your part in their drama. Every time you defend yourself to someone determined to tear you down, you hand them the chains to your dignity. They pull you into their world, and before you know it, you're playing their game on their terms. Real growth isn't about proving your worth to every person who questions it. Growth is understanding when to stay silent, when to choose your peace over your pride. The strongest move you can make is not engaging in pointless conflict. When you walk away without a word, it's not weakness, it's self-respect. It's understanding that silence is a more powerful answer than anything you could say. Seneca, the Stoic master, said it perfectly. It's not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Craving validation, seeking the last word, desperately needing to be understood by people who don't care, that's real poverty. Real wealth is found in the person who no longer needs to prove themselves. Their silence speaks volumes because they know their worth. They know that real power lies not in responding to every challenge, but in not needing to respond at all. Think about how many arguments you've been sucked into, arguments that didn't matter a week later or even 5 minutes after they ended. How many times have you obsessed over the perfect comeback, only to realize it was all a waste of time? Now imagine reclaiming all that energy, all that time by simply walking away. Imagine the freedom of no longer engaging in these endless, draining battles. You become sharper, stronger, calmer, unshaken by the noise around you. When you embrace silence, you build an impenetrable fortress. Their insults come at you like stones, but they can't breach the walls you've built inside. You realize that silence isn't retreat, it's elevation, it's rising above their chaos. It's choosing peace over pride, power over pettiness. You no longer need to react. You simply choose where to invest your energy. The next time you're tempted to engage in another pointless argument, stop, take a breath, feel the weight of your silence, let it be your answer, because silence doesn't just speak, it dominates. It shows them that you are untouchable. It shows them that you no longer need to prove anything. Your silence will say what your words never could. It will command more respect than any argument ever will. Number 3, master the art of holding back. There's a moment, a razor-thin sliver of time when you stand at the crossroads of power and self-destruction. It's so fleeting you could blink and miss it. Your emotions surge like a storm. Your chest tightens and your instincts scream to lash out, to strike with words that can cut deep. That's when you have a choice. Release the fury, let it burn everything to the ground, or hold back. It's in that silence where true power lies. Growth comes not from reacting, but from mastering that moment of restraint. Imagine this. Every time you bite back a bitter word, every time you swallow your pride instead of letting it scorch someone else, you carve out a piece of discipline. That moment of self-control is your victory, not a loss. It's not weakness. It's strength wrapped in silence. Most people don't know what it's like to control their impulses. They're at the mercy of their emotions, slaves to the chaos within, and they never see it coming when their words and actions destroy what they hold dear. Epictetus, once a slave, now a Stoic philosopher of unshakable strength, said it best: "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom isn't found in doing whatever you please. True freedom comes when you hold the reins of your emotions, when you choose not to react, not to burn your bridges with words that you can never take back. Mastery lies in standing tall in the storm of your feelings with a quiet smile, because you know you are the storm and you control it. Think about it. How many relationships have crumbled because someone couldn't keep their tongue in check? How many golden opportunities have you thrown away because pride blazed through your mind like wildfire faster than your wisdom could catch up? How many times have you lain awake at night, tortured by the things you said in anger, wishing you could unsay them, wishing you could take back the damage? That regret, that knowing weight, it's the price of surrendering your power, letting your emotions control you. You gave them everything: your peace, your dignity, your self-respect, all for a fleeting moment of emotional release. But here's the truth. Holding back doesn't mean you're hiding your feelings. It means you honor them enough to ensure they're not wasted on the wrong people or on moments that don't deserve them. It's about taking that anger, that pain, that passion, and channeling it into building yourself, not tearing yourself down, not giving in. The next time your blood starts to boil and that rage threatens to spill out of you like a wildfire, remember this: that split second is your battlefield. The power is yours to take. Every time you hold back, you rise a little higher. Let the world doubt you. Let them wonder what's going on inside your mind. Let them drown in their noise while you turn that silence into your weapon. That pause, that restraint, it's not weakness, it's your crown. Your power lies in your ability to remain calm when everything around you is chaos. You are the master of your reactions. Own that power. Own it every day. Drop this affirmation below: I am the master of my reactions. Feel it, believe it, live it. Number 4, speak only when your words can build. Your voice is a weapon, a blade sharp enough to slice through silence, a flame that can set entire worlds ablaze. Every time you speak, you make a choice: to build or to burn. Every word that leaves your lips is either a cornerstone of your legacy or a wrecking ball tearing down everything you've worked for. Growth in silence isn't passive. It's a discipline, a strategy. It's understanding that every word you speak either cements your power or weakens your foundation. The world speaks to fill the air, to escape the weight of their own thoughts, to demand attention. Too many people drown in their own noise, throwing out words like cheap currency, believing the more they say, the more they matter. But you are different. Your words will not be tossed carelessly. Your silence isn't weakness, it's your strength. You will speak only when your words can ignite, can cut deep, can move mountains. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." This isn't just about actions. It's about what you choose not to say. Your silence is a testament to your strength. And when you finally speak, your words should carry the force of 1,000 storms, impossible to ignore. Words are currency. Spend them wisely. A man who speaks without thought is like a beggar throwing coins into the wind, his words meaningless. But a man who guards his speech is a king, his words etched in gold, commanding the world's attention every time they fall from his lips. Speak with purpose. Speak with weight. Don't speak to be heard. Speak to be felt. How many times have you walked away from a conversation, your mind screaming, wishing you had said nothing? How many moments of regret have you suffered because your words rushed out before your wisdom could catch up? How many times did you choose the temporary relief of speech over the permanent power of silence? Growth in silence teaches you that it's not about bottling up your truth. It's about shaping it into something powerful, something unbreakable, something that will leave a mark when it finally escapes. Now imagine a life where every word you speak is a tower, each syllable a brick in the foundation of your legacy. Your words should not be common. They should be rare, a force so strong that people feel the ground shift when you speak. Your silence commands attention. Your words leave an imprint. To live like this is to own your world, to speak with the gravitas of a man who understands that his words are more powerful than any action. When you speak, the air changes. People stop, they listen, they feel it. So speak less, but speak like you are unbreakable. Let your silence carve a space that demands respect. Let your words cut through the noise like the roar of a lion. And when you speak, make it matter. Make it unforgettable. Speak like you are not just existing, but commanding your legacy to live forever. Your words are your legacy. Speak only when they can build, not just for you, but for those who will carry your message long after you're gone. Speak like your words have the weight of the heavens themselves, and let them reshape the world. Number 5, not everything needs to be said. There's a storm inside you, an unrelenting urge to scream, to defend your name, to unleash every ounce of pain and betrayal. It's like fire burning through your chest, clawing at your throat, pushing you to set things straight. But here's the brutal truth. Silence is more powerful than all the words you'll ever spill. Silence doesn't need to justify itself. It doesn't beg for validation. It just exists, and it dominates. It's the quiet force that leaves them gasping for air, wishing they could have the control you've mastered. Some wounds are so deep that no words will ever be enough to describe them. Some betrayals are so soul-crushing that speaking of them would only cheapen their weight. Your pain is not a circus for them to gawk at. The more you try to explain, the more you give them a front-row seat to your suffering. And let me tell you this, there's nothing more sacred than guarding your wounds so fiercely, so unapologetically, that no one can touch them. Seneca knew this better than anyone. He said, "It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence. Know the difference. Know when to speak and when to let silence speak for you. Silence isn't cowardice. It's strength. It's the power to walk away with your head held high, knowing that the chaos swirling around you can't touch your peace. It's the wisdom to let them shout into the void while you stand unshaken, untouched by their noise. You've been there, haven't you? Pouring your soul into a conversation, laying bare your heart, only to watch them twist your words, disregard your pain, and turn it against you. You feel hollow after, like they've stripped you bare and left you with nothing. That's the cost of seeking validation from the wrong people. But here's the game changer. When you stop needing them to understand, when you stop begging for their approval, you become untouchable. Your silence, it's the weapon, it's the shield, it's the unspeakable power that leaves them clawing at an empty void, wishing they could have your peace but never getting close. Let them talk. Let them spin their little stories. They can never take what's inside you. Your truth, it's yours. Your peace, it's untouchable. Let them scream. Your silence will echo louder, longer, and deeper than any words could ever reach. You owe them nothing, not your truth, not your side of the story, not 1 ounce of your energy. Protect your peace like it's the last thing holding you together. Because sometimes it is. Don't explain, don't defend, just grow. And do it in silence. Say it, feel it, live it. I protect my peace in silence. Number 6, your silence teaches others how to treat you. They watch. Don't fool yourself. They always watch, not out of admiration, out of calculation. They're studying your thresholds, testing your limits, weighing your breaking points like vultures circling a dying animal. One wrong move, one outburst, one explanation, one twitch of emotional leakage, and they know exactly where to strike next. But when you give them nothing, no flinch, no fire, just that deadly, unreadable calm, that's when their games collapse in their hands. Because silence is not weakness. It's warfare in disguise. You think they'll respect your kindness, your apologies, your attempts to clear the air. No, they respect boundaries they can't predict, faces they can't read, storms they can't summon. When you move in silence, you become a myth, untouchable, unshakable, unfathomable. That's the Stoic way, not loud but lethal. It's not about pretending not to care. It's about reprogramming your instincts to never hand over your soul for cheap approval. Every time you explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, you trade your crown for crumbs. Every time you bark back at an insult, they eat off your energy. And every time you let them provoke you, you sign your own leash. But when you master silence, cold, still, deliberate silence, something terrifying happens. You become uncontrollable and nothing haunts the manipulators like someone they can't trigger. You felt it, that eerie shift in the room when you said nothing, when you stood there, eyes locked, breathing steady while they scrambled to fill the void. That void was you. That silence was power. You didn't raise your voice, but you raised the temperature. You didn't fight back, but you sucked the air out of their lungs. Because real power doesn't shout. It waits. It watches. It chooses. There is no force on earth like a man who no longer explains himself. No force like a soul that guards its reaction like treasure. That is Stoicism in its most dangerous form. Not detached, but deadly aware. The kind of energy that bends the room without lifting a hand. People don't fear the loud ones. They fear the one who could erupt but doesn't, the one whose silence feels like standing too close to lightning. So stop giving away your fire to those who throw water on your spirit. Not everyone deserves your voice. Not everyone is worth your heat. Your silence is sacred. It's where your discipline breathes, where your power regenerates. It's not passivity, it's pure strategic control. And when your enemies realize they can't move you, they break themselves trying. Let them mock, let them guess. Let them drown in the noise they created. You walk through it like smoke, untouched. Because you've become the storm they never saw coming, the man who doesn't react, doesn't flinch, doesn't fold. You've become the echo that haunts them. This isn't about playing cold. It's about being so grounded, so impossibly still that even chaos tiptoes around you. You train the world with your silence. You write your legend with what you don't say. That's how kings are born. That's how warriors are forged, not in arguments, not in claps and roars, but in the deafening power of saying nothing and still being heard. Number 7, silence is where you hear your true voice. There comes a point where the noise outside becomes so deafening it drowns the scream within. The world hijacks your focus, hijacks your rhythm, hijacks your identity until your own voice sounds foreign. You're not thinking, you're echoing. You're not living, you're performing. And deep down you feel it, that ache, that twist in your gut that whispers, "This isn't me." But you're too surrounded to hear it clearly. The chaos out there feeds on your reaction. They push your buttons to see you dance. They flood your mind with opinions you didn't ask for, labels you didn't agree to, and fears that don't even belong to you. And every time you explain yourself, every time you fight back, every time you shout just to be heard, you give them power. You chip away at your own throne. You betray the part of you that was born to lead, not follow. But silence, oh, silence doesn't beg, it doesn't prove, it doesn't perform. It stands tall while everything else burns to ash. When you choose silence, real silence, you step outside the battlefield. You stop swinging blindly at shadows. You stop bleeding energy for people who don't deserve your fire. You walk away, not because you're weak, but because you've remembered who the hell you are. In that stillness, something wild starts to rise, not the fake, polished version of you that the world molded, but the untamed, unapologetic, real voice that was buried beneath noise and approval. That voice doesn't need applause. That voice doesn't flinch. That voice knows where it's going, even if the whole damn world screams in the other direction. Silence is your proving ground. It's where you don't just survive, you rebuild. You sit with your pain and don't run from it. You stare at your flaws and don't cover them up. You strip everything down, the lies, the masks, the people who drain you. And what's left is raw truth. It might hurt. It might rip you open, but it's real. And real power only grows in places that fake comfort can't reach. That's why Stoicism isn't about shutting the world out. It's about learning to shut the world off long enough to hear yourself think, feel, and rise. It's about standing in a quiet room and finally meeting the version of you who doesn't need noise to feel alive. The version of you that doesn't flinch when misunderstood, doesn't explain when judged, and doesn't move unless it's on your terms. Every time you speak just to fill silence, you silence your real voice. Every time you react out of impulse, you smother the wisdom growing in your soul. The world wants you loud, predictable, easy to read because that's how they control you. But when you go quiet, when you stop explaining, stop chasing, stop proving, that's when they panic. That's when the roles reverse. Because now you're not a puppet. You're a storm with no forecast, a silence that humbles people, a force that no longer needs to shout because your presence alone shifts the air in the room. So guard that silence like it's your crown. Treat it like sacred ground. Because in that space, away from the noise, the eyes, the pressure, you don't just find your voice. You become it. You owe this world nothing but your evolution, not your peace, not your explanation, not your tears. Let them wonder. Let them choke on your silence. You're not a circus act for broken souls seeking attention. You're a storm that learned to stand still. And stillness is terrifying to the loud and lost. Growth isn't some pretty quote wrapped in comfort. It's bloody, brutal, lonely. It's choosing not to answer when your rage is roaring. It's walking away when your ego is begging to explode. It's dying to the old you while everyone claps for your corpse, never knowing the beast you're becoming in silence. This world doesn't deserve your fire if all it does is pour water on your soul. Guard your energy like it's sacred, because it is. Your silence isn't weakness. It's the thunder that builds before a world-breaking storm. And when you rise again, you won't need to shout. Your presence will scream. If this cracked something deep inside you, if this felt like a mirror to your battle, then like, comment, share, and subscribe. But do it with fire, because this isn't just a video. This is your awakening. Your silence is your resurrection.